Hey, everybody, it's our awesome podcast. I'm Kenny Mayne, joined by my partners, Cooper Manning, the smarter and more likely to succeed of all the Mannings. Then there's Brian Baumgartner. You know him from The Office. At this point, you probably know him from the golf course as well. He's probably told you what he did in Scotland. He can play. He likes to tell you when he plays well.
There you go. Our guest, we like to play a little game. It's called Guess the Handicap. I will go first on our guest today. As I do a little research. I feel like he and I are the same. Mm-hmm. And so I am betting 8.4, which is exactly
who are you
what
talking
I am
about
right now.
Who are you talking about, Brian?
Well, I was waiting for you to introduce. Eli Manning is our guest today. I'm calling Eli Manning at 8.4. Kenny?
This is the most fraudulent gambling game ever, where people know. Like Cooper already knows the end. Like I'm out on bets.
Shit,
I'm going to say he's never played first time.
Okay,
yeah, which makes him the perfect guest for We Need a Fourth. We are diving deep to get someone who's never played golf on this show. I love it. You know, I know Eli at one point he always kind of hovered around an 11, and then he retired and COVID hit, and he got a simulator, and he played every golf course in the world on that simulator and got down to something like shy of a 5, and maybe reality and wind and kids have all. I'm saying Eli's a solid. I'm saying 8 flat, 8 on the dots.
You didn't give me much room.
Let me introduce him just because I think it's fair. Whoever knows our guest the most gets the honor of introducing him. And I was kind of trying to write this, and I called my good buddy and our mutual friend, Tricky Dick Montgomery. I said, Dickie, I got to introduce Eli. Would you mind helping me? And so he has his fingerprints all over this. But, you know, my youngest brother, Eli's our guest. And, you know, it's funny. I don't think I realized Eli lived in our childhood home in New Orleans until I was about 15 and he was 8. I mean, I had some lack of awareness. I was selfish, probably focused on myself. But I think I was just dealing with Peyton so much. I mean, living with Peyton was like living with a wild boar. He was feisty, he was aggressive, and I had to thwart off his attacks. And I think my mom was probably scared that Peyton was going to kill Eli, and Eli was probably scared of Peyton. I was scared of Peyton, and therefore Eli was scared of me. So I don't remember Eli speaking until he was about age 8, which is why we still call him Easy. Just curious, growing up, how afraid of me were you, but how really afraid of Peyton were you as a young boy?
Well, first off, thank you for that kind introduction and all of y'all just insulting me on my handicap. I'm a 6'4", to get that out the window. So
whoa, okay.
Lower than all y'all expected. I was not as scared of you, Coop, because I kind of viewed you as my savior when Peyton was bullying me and had me pinned down to the ground and knocking on my chest and beating me for not knowing the 28 teams in the NFL and being able to name them under 30 seconds. I would yell to you. Sometimes, mom first, she wasn't home, went to dad, and who probably wouldn't help me. He would probably say the same thing. Why don't you know these questions or these answers? And then I would come to you. You were kind of my savior a little bit, and I appreciate you coming to my rescue that one time.
I'm not good at math. How much older are you, Cooper?
I'll break it down for you right now. I'm 51. Peyton is 49, and Eli is 44. So I'm 7 years older than Eli, 2 years older than Peyton.
There you go.
And I think you're right. Dad would have said, continue with the abuse.
Yeah.
He should know.
He would just be filming it, but not taking the camera away. Like, no, this is good stuff. I'll hide in the corner, pretend I'm not here, but just have footage of this.
I remember distinctly when you finally learned all the NFL teams and all the divisions and all the SEC teams, and then, with the knocking on the chest just constantly while your arms are pinned down, we moved to cigarettes.
Yeah, that was tough. That's tough for an 8-year-old.
How so?
I had not started smoking yet.
Merritt, Marlboro Light, Pall Mall, Salem, Benson and Hedges. Like, oh wait,
Parliament.
Yep.
How did those names not become line calls when Peyton was screaming Omaha? He could have just Winston. 55 Winston. The
I don't
so-and-so
think he knew him either. He just that's just when they wanted to make me cry, when there was no hope, and it's like, this is just pure torture. And parents are gone, we're bored, beat up the youngest brother.
I mean, in your dad's day, players smoked on the sidelines, so I mean, it kind of fits. I'm not saying
true.
he did. But
No, it's right. Archie was
cars
saying
in
the
the
other day,
end zone. That was weird.
cars in the end zone, and then Archie was saying the other day they were like trying to make halftime adjustments a little bit, like with a chalkboard, and you couldn't even see. There was smoke. Like, get the smoke out of here! I can't even get a little bit of a game plan for the second half. So what an era.
Eli, you and I, we've never met, but I got to tell you a story. I actually filmed something at the Giants training facility. This is back in 2012, and there was a very kind gentleman, equipment manager, who I think had been there for all time, and he told me when I was filming that you were a big fan of The Office, and he made me. Now, we were about to have some visual evidence. Kyle, you can cue it up here. He made me stand in front of your locker, put on your jersey, and then also hold your helmet. And if you can see by my face, if you look deep into my eyes, you see how humiliated I am to be standing there wearing this. And he was like, no, this is incredible. He's a huge fan. And he took this picture and he said, okay, I'm going to have Eli send you a signed jersey. And then I'm going to send this picture to you for Eli for you to sign for him. Now, I will tell you this. I have the signed jersey. He sent that. He did not ever send the photo for me to sign for you. So the question is, were you ever made aware that I violated your locker and took this picture allegedly for you, but maybe it was for him?
No, I do remember seeing this picture, and I heard a different version of the story. It's more that you snuck in, you put on my jersey, and you were running around with my helmet on.
I knew this. Nope, I knew this.
So they got, we got evidence, and we got a picture of it. You can see he looks very guilty right now of doing it. And so that is the story I heard. And I said, well, I'm not going to sign this picture for him since he tried to steal my helmet, but I will autograph a jersey because I was a huge fan of The Office and of you. So
that's very kind. That's very kind of you.
And Brian, I got a quick story for you. I had a couple of my best pals just got back from Scotland, and they had a great trip. And there's some rumors going around.
Yeah. At
first, they said they heard an eagle in number 5 on the old horse, but they also heard a double eagle maybe. So I'm just trying to, I don't know which one it is. Is it double eagle or eagle?
Here's
There's a lot
thing.
of rumors, and they're talking about you. You're obviously a very big deal in Scotland.
Here's the thing, Eli. Everybody was talking about it.
Right.
I was really embarrassed.
Still talking about it.
They're still talking about it over there. It's embarrassing to me. As I recall, it was an eagle, but I hit it to 5 feet, so I understand the confusion that people have. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Eli, but there is only 2 par 5s on the course. And yeah, I was 3 under on the par 5s. And it's embarrassing for me to talk about, but the fact that everyone's talking about it, it just, it feels like I should, at least apologize for everybody having to hear about how incredible I played that day.
There were several people up at the Russicks having cocktails, enjoying a late afternoon martini, just trying to unwind, watching some people play golf. And when they heard a ruckus never heard before, and it was Kenny's second shot, taking a right turn into a utility van, nearly killing a Chihuahua and 2 young girls on roller skates along with the parents. But fortunately, the van took...
The van saved lives.
The van saved lives.
Yeah.
And
came back in because I have such an exceptional spin to hold, and that time I just missed. I didn't get the face over. But I'm proud of the shot and the finish. And then I got confused about what my score was. We argued about that for a half hour. I was wrong. I admitted I was wrong because I don't cheat. I'm the guy who takes 11s. Okay, I'm that guy.
Here's the thing, Eli. Many people have hit it into the road on 18 at the old course. Many people. That's not, there's no shame in that, almost. But very few have hit it into the road on their second shot on 18. That is what makes it a special accomplishment.
What happened to the first shot?
It was short of
It
that.
came close.
Yeah.
It came close, but didn't quite get there.
And then the confusion was those idiots from Country Club adjacent were trying to make us laugh, and on a fake shot after we've already hit our drive, right? And I went into the road with that one as well. So yeah, it was time to quit. I'd put in my best work on day one. I was Vandeveld by the end of it.
Eli, can you think of offhand of one of the worst shots you've ever had in golf? Can you remember a case? I know it involves you, of all people, sometimes can attract a crowd on number one. You know, you're not loose, maybe you hadn't hit, and all of a sudden, you know, there's 4 people, then there's 8, then there's, oh gosh, please just let me get this thing airborne. Do you have any stories that kind of you wake up in the middle of the night going, oh, that was not good?
Yeah, I teed off at Pebble Beach a few years ago and playing there again, a kind of a crowd showing up, and it wasn't the AT&T. I've played that before, just kind of a normal time. You know, you're kind of debating on number one there. You're like, all right, people are showing up. You don't need to hit a driver, but sometimes you're like, I might hit a driver just so I make contact. Like I could hit a hybrid or a 3-wood. I could top that. Like bad things can go on, you know, first shot of the day, no real warm up. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna hit this a little hybrid I had, and I hit it, and it went pretty straight, went a little right into the trap, but the head of the rescue club flew off. It went like 70 yards dead straight also. And I mean, it's just kind of like, all right, you know, what, you know, this is not the start I wanted. These people watching, and they're, yeah, I think a lot are like, great shot, it went dead straight. I'm like, no, that was my club, not the ball. The ball went a little right.
What about your best shot? What's the best shot you ever remember hitting? Like, this is why I do it.
Best shot, you know, a few years ago, Coop and Peyton and I and a few guys went to Scotland, went over there, played Royal County Downs, which is fabulous and one of the great courses. And I was playing well that day and hitting driver well again. I just remember hitting. Again, it might have been that same rescue, the old trusty rescue, like a 3 hybrid into the wind, and like just saying, you know, it's like one of those where, all right, it's like 170, but I think it might be playing like 220, and
right.
Just like, all right, I'm just gonna try to murder this thing and hit it up in the air, and yeah, and it kind of coming, you know, nestled into 6 feet, and you're like. That was the greatest shot, just with all the wind playing it. Like I got to hit it high. I don't want to hit it line drive. It'll cut through it, and just like all that working in to hit it and making a good birdie into just a straight, Scottish wind.
Hey, we'll keep talking about what a horrible brother Peyton Manning is to his younger brother, but right now we're going to take a break. You already described your brother as being kind of a dick. Not this one, but the other one. Beating you up, bully. That commercial you all did for This Is Sports Center, there wasn't much, not any writing. It was just be you guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. What would you do on a tour? Us fooling around and hitting each other, I'm giving Peyton a wet willy. Of course, after like the 5th wet willy he's getting, it's like, all right, I think we got it. You know, I'm like, no, I need to go one more. I got to really lube this one up. You know, I think he definitely had an ear infection after that commercial. So, you know, after that, we're like, all right, we'll move into, you know, him punching you in the shoulder. I'm like, I wish we would have done the punching first, because now I know like he's just gonna just wail away and just rip into my right shoulder. And at some point, Coop, I don't even know if you remember this. I want to get the outtakes. At some point, like I'm like, hey, you know, don't hit me so hard. Like you've hit me in my right shoulder. I got practice in it like tomorrow. Please don't hit me. Of course, the next one's like the hardest one, and we just went at it. I'm like tackled him, like running into the walls. There's, you know, the pictures on the walls are moving over. It was like they had to separate us, and you know, my dad,
it was a little dicey.
John
Anderson was trying to break it up.
Yeah, my dad gives that great look, you know, kind of that look we got so many times in the back of the car. Us, you know, keep, you know, touching and poking and just annoying each other, screaming, and him like hey, if I have to turn back one more time, I'm pulling this car over and gonna, make someone cry for real. Look that he gave a few times. So it was not a whole lot of acting, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun. I don't think Peyton and I talked for a few weeks after that commercial.
Did you ever get into the fray, Cooper? Were you ever in there with him?
I was barely in the commercial, much less the fray. I remember.
I mean in general, even at home or
Coop's a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, I'm over there just smoking one of those 12 cigarettes that Eli couldn't name. As a young boy. I remember one thing about that commercial. We had driven up to Bristol to film that, and I'm like looking at the lines, and I have, of course, no lines. They have kind of a costume area or whatever, wardrobe, and everybody, he's got giant stuff on, cold stuff, and I'm looking, and there's the ugliest Hawaiian shirt I've ever seen. I go, I'm wearing this. And Peyton goes, no way. And I go, I think I am. He goes, I dare you. I'm like, whatever. Oh, he dares me. Okay. So if you ever notice, I'm wearing like a see-through Hawaiian shirt and like some, and some like cargo shorts and some loafers. I look like I was trying out for the ugliest tourist at Disneyland, and I nailed it. Eli, I don't know if you know, but they're not talking about it in Scotland yet, but old Koopy, had an ace the other day.
I heard.
But I was trying to remember. You've had one hole in one?
I've had one hole in one. I don't really like to talk about it. It kind of gets brought up every once in a while. People or talk about it. I was playing Canoe Brook Country Club in New Jersey maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And obviously on a par 3 and number 7, and I just, it's like 165 yards. I had a 7-iron, and I just hooked this thing 60 yards left. I mean, it's going right into the trees, and so I kind of like turned my head mad, like hitting the ground with the club, and then we had a caddy that day. The caddy's going, go in. I'm like, yeah, very funny. I've used that line before also, like on a putt that's nowhere near the hole. You're like, go in. When it's like 30 feet short, I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. He's like, no, it went in the hole. I'm like, I don't believe you. Like, I hooked it 60 yards left. And he's like, no, it hit off the tree, it hit the green, and rolled in the hole. I'm like, are you serious? And he starts filming, and I'm like, I don't think it's correct. Like, I don't think that's accurate. I think you're wrong. So we walk up there, and sure enough, there it is. Titleist 10 in the hole, and that was my hole in one. So, like, besides writing a 1 on the scorecard, I really don't feel like it was a hole in one. I didn't call bank, so I don't think it counts.
Do you feel like you haven't had one still?
I kind of feel like I haven't had one just because, I think a hole in one, it should involve a little skill. I feel like it should be like, hey, I hit the right shot. I'm proud of this shot. Right club. Kind of watch it go in or roll in or have some like positive memory. Mine is kind of one I really don't like to tell.
How would you compare that hole in one to David Tyree catching it on his head?
Totally different. That play worked out just how we planned it.
How you planned it.
Yeah, it's in the playbook as offensive line, don't block anybody. Eli, just be the tremendous athlete that you are. Escape and throw it into quadruple coverage in the middle of the field and have Tyree wrestle for it.
Tyree was probably over there in the woods.
Throwing it back on the green.
He caught that thing and threw it back out.
Hey, Cooper, did you not? I feel like Eli's just hearing about your hole in one. Did you call your dad? Did you call Peyton? Did Eli not even get?
I got a picture. I got a quick picture, but we haven't talked about it. I'm sure he was hitting his 9 wood from like
7 wood. 7 wood.
Heaven wood. Was it a 7 wood? Really?
Yeah, I will say. I meant
far?
to.
I need some details.
It was 165. Uphill, little wind, and I tried to draw it, and I kind of cut it, and it wasn't exactly going. But right as I hit it, Rosie goes, "That might go in." I went, "Huh?" Like kind of one of those, and I think my caddy was doing deep knee bends, looking at it. He may have caught it and thrown it in the hole. Who knows? We'll never know.
Who's the best golfer of the 3 brothers?
Well, I think the conversation's between Eli and Peyton. Can you take him?
We kind of have some good battles. He usually gives me a stroke or two.
Was he like a 4 or 5?
Yeah, he's been a 4 or 5. I don't know where he is right now. So I think right now we might be pretty close. And we haven't played against each other in a while.
Does he pin you down with a 9-iron like when he gets pissed?
No, no, he can't do that anymore. A few years ago on a golf trip, he this is more than a few. It's probably 6 years ago or so. So I was still a young man at 39 or 38, and so Peyton's 43, and we finished playing golf, and we'd had a few beers. We're kind of getting dressed for dinner. I'm sitting on the bed, and we're kind of sharing a room, 2 beds, and he comes in and is like, all right, I'm going to try to wrestle and tackle me. And he kind of dives at me. I moved a little bit. He overshot, and he kind of got stuck between the bed and the wall. It was like a little 1 foot area, right there. And I'm kind of going to jump on him, and I just saw kind of his underwear sticking out on his shorts a little bit, and I got the underwear and gave him an atomic wedgie. So the underwear went over the head. They eventually ripped off. I have them hung over my bedroom bed and framed.
You've really matured through the years.
Yeah. And
that's the
last time he messed with me.
That's what you frame instead of hitting a hole in one. You frame those underwear as if that's a flag.
Yeah. You don't give your older brother an atomic wedgie very often, and so that was a big highlight for me.
2012, I was there at the Super Bowl when you beat the Patriots there in Indianapolis, if I recall correctly. Yeah. I was invited down onto the field afterward. You didn't say anything to me, but I feel I'm not that I'm superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, and I also had a large.
For the office. That's right. I mean,
well, that was actually a test to find out if you'd actually ever seen the show.
First test he's ever passed, Brian. First test.
This is the first.
I didn't even have a cheat sheet or anything.
I made a considerable bet on you guys on the game, and feel like I willed you to victory. Yet there was never a thank you. So really, this is about finally wanting you to acknowledge me for helping you to win that game in 2012.
If you give me some commission from the bet and I get a little money, then I'll write you a thank you note.
That's fair. I don't remember how much it was. I think it was like $100.
Oh, okay.
At this point, I think that's
it was $10,000 and now it's $100.
Yeah. It's weird how that story changes all of a sudden.
We'll come right back with Eli Manning. So, Eli, it was touched on earlier about Brian with his gambling issue, winning money and then no split, no thanks, no nothing. But is it not kind of amazing? You lived the perfect years to have a perspective on this, I think, as did I, in a different way on TV. We couldn't say a damn word about anything to do with anything. Brent Musburger would get away with it. Al Michaels would get away with it. Whoa, that touchdown is significant, But it all turned like so quickly, right? And you and I did some stuff for Caesars. You're doing other stuff now, but it's kind of crazy how rapidly it all changed.
Yeah, I mean, now obviously with fantasy football, with betting on sports, I think as a player, you obviously can't touch it or be around with it, which is great and important. But I think it's different as a player because sometimes the fans, you might win a game and hey, you win 21-17, and somebody would say, hey, what happened the other day? You're like, nothing. Like we won the game. Like we did our job. Yeah, but you didn't cover, and you only threw 1 touchdown. It's like, yeah, that's not really my job. The job is to win. It's not to throw touchdowns for your fantasy league. It's like, hey, to win the game, and that's all that really matters. So I mean, you kind of learn real quickly, hey, like who's a fan of the team and who's just a fan of betting on anything that they can find.
I did witness you just jump into a pickup game of soccer this summer, which I was curious. Prior to that, had you played soccer in the last 30 years?
No. I think I gave up soccer. At age 10. At age 10, I had to pick between soccer and basketball. So I definitely went basketball.
It looked like it had been about a 34-year drought. Notice there was a lot of running and no scoring.
I think I scored a left-footed goal, though. I think I had a lefty goal, and I'm amphibious. I didn't know one knew that. But
You're
that
playing
was your
with children?
It was his left hand, though. It was.
For you, your opportunity, your bucket list, location, foursome, what would it be, Eli?
Well, I mean, I think I think I've already done it. A few years ago, Coop, Peyton, and my dad went on a trip to Scotland, and I think my dad's not playing golf, really anymore now, and had some injuries. So I'm glad that we did that in maybe Coop, 2006, probably 2007, right around there. And, that was kind of just an awesome time, just, going around Scotland for a week with your two brothers and your dad. We still, for Coop's 50th birthday, we had a big celebration down at a Hoopy Match Club. And
that's awesome.
Got to play kind of the next generation. Peyton and I played Coop's two sons, Hyde and Archie Manning, in a match. And one of the great things that happened during that was, kind of like the sixth hole. Arch and Hyde both have putts. They both get in a shot, and they have putts for par. Kind of net birdie. Peyton and I both made 5, and they both have like 4-footers, and they're real, kind of on different sides of the hole. We thought about just like giving it to them and let's go on. And we said, all right, why don't y'all just putt it out? Let's see if we can get a winner here. 8 putts later, Arch makes like a 7-footer which is not, now they'd already lost the hole. Peyton and I's bogeys had tied the hole. Now they're putting for 7 6s, and each of them 4-putted, and just laughing so hard at how badly they missed the putt previous. So Arch made a 7-footer for the win, or against his brother, who did not finish the hole.
It's nice that, I abused a little bit of Peyton and then just rolled it to Eli. Peyton only abused Eli, but Eli's been waiting around for someone to take the brunt off. And fortunately, my children gather all that hostility and years of angst. And so thank God Hyde and Arch can take it, because Eli's coming at him full steam.
I take it out even on my friends' little kids. I did it. I did it the other
Spread
day.
it around.
We were kind of at the pool, and there was a bunch of kids and friends, and like a little 8-year-old kid there, and I'm buddies with his dad, and I kind of pulled the move you and Peyton used to play with me all the time, which I don't know. You would think you could only play this game once, but for somehow we played it a lot, where the old, hey, let's play a game who can punch the softest. I'll go first.
Classic.
You got to go first, right? I have to go first. Actually, sorry, you go first. You go first. Make the kid go first, and he does this tiny little soft punch, and I just rear back and just punched his 8-year-old right in the arm. and he went and cried to his dad, but he's got to learn this game.
So essentially, how Peyton treated you is now manifest in how you are abusing children and relatives in general.
Only other kids, only not my kids. I don't, but only other. It's a and especially ones that maybe don't have older brothers, and they won't get. I think it's needed. These kids need to be toughened up a little bit.
Well, speaking of toughening somebody up, Cooper told us a great story. You guys are at a golf course. It's after hours. And jackets weren't required. They really went all out, and a few drinks were had. Some guy who played like junior high football now wants you to throw him a pass, but challenge, like, give me some, throw me a hard spiral. How far away were you? Because I didn't get that for context. And did you try to stick it in his chest?
Yeah, so we were in the clubhouse, and you had to have a jacket on. And I think they found there was a ball, kind of old football, up in a mantle somewhere. And this guy grabbed it, kind of threw it at my feet and said, hey, I bet I can catch your fastball. And I just kind of grabbed the ball right away and threw it at him. And he was a little shocked that I did it. It kind of went off. And he said, no, I wasn't ready. I want the real thing. And I was like, I'll throw you a real pass. I'll give you the heater, but I got to take this jacket off. And it's like the whole clubhouse just went silent.
It's like a P.F. Hutton commercial. And they're like,
ooh. And there's like this one old guy. He's like smoking a cigarette. He's 90 years old on the couch. And he's like, let him do it. Let him take it off. I want to see the arm. So, no one had been in this clubhouse without a jacket in 100 years. So I take off the jacket, and this guy's probably 15 yards away. And, I didn't warm up, but I threw him a heater. He kind of jumped up, because I wanted to throw it high. Whenever you throw a pass hard at someone, you don't want them to catch it. You want to throw around the head,
Make them
the
defend
eyes.
themselves.
Well, that way they can't use the gut. I mean, this guy had a little gut, and so that absorbs the throw. So he kind of jumped up and body caught it and fell into a couch, and then started doing a touchdown dance. Big celebration. So I was happy. It worked out for the best. Him making that catch, and he gets to tell the story.
Shout out to Snots. One of the great, some of the great hands, and a damn good golfer, and an hoopy regular. In case you're looking for a game,
exactly.
He's always there, night putting.
Just call Snots.
Yeah.
You talked about trying to take it out on Cooper's kids as well as other strangers, which I'm going to try to skate over for the sake of law enforcement. I understand Arch just beat your high school record for passing yards. Was this pride that welled up within you? Is this more fodder for punishment? How did that make you feel? And are you really rooting for the Georgia Bulldogs this year?
No, let me interrupt, Eli. Knowing Eli and how he's wired, I'd bet my hat, ass, and overcoat that he didn't even know he had those records. So I assure you, he lost 0 REM sleep over this record being shattered.
I didn't know they kept records when I was playing. How many yards?
Our crack research team sent me that really important fact, and I thought, oh, well, this is something that's been reported. I didn't realize Eli wouldn't have been aware.
I think when it happened, I was made aware. There was like a social media or something went out that Arch had broken my record, which I'm thrilled. Like I don't care about records. I want records to be broken. And if someone's gonna break it, I'd rather a family member, my nephew, break it than someone else, because I know at least with Arch, he's worked hard, and he was a 4-year starter, and I think we were in high school. We were throwing it 14 times a game, and
there we go.
There's the bitterness we're looking for.
I thought it would go.
It's baked in there somewhere.
Defensive drills
I
were
want to know
different.
how many yards he threw from under center. That's the difference. And they had to drop back, and all mine were under center. I think I had 4 snaps of shotgun in my entire high school career. That's what I want to know. That's real talent right there.
There's that burning that you never see. They say Eli's so nice and kind. No, my friend. I just want to make sure that the good folks and the equipment people down in Austin are ready for a Brian Baumgartner sighting who's going to sneak in to Arch's locker and put his helmet and jersey on. It's coming, and it's coming fast.
We got a
Jock strap, all of it.
I think we need to let our guy go, but we get one more each. I want to know, because you just went straight from real football. Now I'm suddenly doing this, and you really went for it. And plus, you want to improve your golf game, and you got your children. I get all that. Is there something you want to do that you haven't, that you're kind of daydream like that would be a cool project? Film star, whatever, like you've been on the edges of all that in doing entertainment to this point.
I'd like to call a Super Bowl, which I'll get to do in a few years on ESPN. So I think
good.
as now that I guess I'm a broadcaster, I never really liked being a broadcaster. I still kind of think I'm a football player, but after 5 years of doing this, I guess I am. But I think it'd be fun to be in there at a Super Bowl and see what that's like, and get to kind of share that with my big, older, meaner brother.
I'll ask, if you had one thing that you could change now in your sport, golf, what would it be?
That my hole-in-one was just a flushed, 9-iron on a hole that was 184 yards, and I had to, ease up on a 9 and just hit and didn't even roll, just landed right in the hole, and I saw it, and then I took my clothes off and ran around and celebrated and got on a helicopter and flew to Vegas and with all my boys, and we had a big night.
And I guess lastly, we were born, raised in the South, and we think we have good manners, and we someone does something nice for me, I do something nice for you, reciprocity, hospitality. Now that you've been invited on We Need a Fourth, how long do you think it is before Koopy gets a bit on the Manning cast? And do you think I'm even going to answer the call?
I think you'll definitely answer the call. You would be a great host. I have recommended your name to the higher ups within the Manning cast production team. And I don't know, it's just a lot of crickets, and especially by one person just saying like no, and that was it.
Yeah.
Peyton, you can figure out maybe
I guess
who that person is.
I guess we invited the right guy to be on this podcast, because I'm not inviting that son of a bitch.
He's out. You were great and a joy to talk to. Good to see you again. Thanks for being with us, Eli Manning.
That was a lot of fun, boys. We got to take it to the real course now.
Well, yeah. Will you be our fourth at some point?
100%. Love
Perfect.
to be the fourth.
We'll see you in Augusta very, very soon. Thank you so much, Eli, for having us. There.
We Need a Fourth is produced by SmartLess Media and Electric Avenue. Brian Baumgartner, Cooper Manning, Kenny Mayne, and Stewart Bailey are executive producers. Produced by Ann Harris and Kyle McGraw. Engineered by Kyle McGraw. Edited by Joshua Richmond. The associate producer is Maddie McCann. Executive producer for Electric Avenue is Marc Forman. Executive producers for SmartLess Media are Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Richard Korson, and Bernie Kaminski.